4th executive session for the fire union, and June 4th executive session for DPW. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. The board has a common license hearing for a hot dog stand. Is the gentleman here? If you come forward, please. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Craig Bloyer, 65 Narrow Lane, South Lancaster, Mass.
Okay, according to your application, sir, you're looking to be at 2 locations, three, Central Park, Depot Square, and Vale Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you previously been in this business, or?
No, I haven't.
So
This is a new venture for me, and I was looking for what guidance from the board here is what the regulations are, and to fine-tune a site and to try to meet the community needs of the community.
Now, you've got hours from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and this is a portable cart that you've got dogs on wheels. Is this a portable cart, or is this
Yeah,
a van?
it's a cart that can be pulled behind a car, and then it also has handles on. You can push it around the park. The hours, I've rethought that. I'm not it may be more towards the lunch hour up until about 3 o'clock. But if I know it's going to have some business towards dinner time, I would like to have the option to keep open, or there may not be any business later on in the day, and there wouldn't be a need to be there.
And I guess I'm going to ask this a little bit. Did we not give one for Vale Street? That was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
That's right.
Okay, just candy. Okay, I know there was something for Vale
Candy.
Street.
It was prepackaged.
Candy chips, okay.
Prepackaged food, I
Okay.
believe.
Mark, do you have any questions?
No.
You don't have any questions?
No late hours at all? Probably no later than 8 p.m.?
No, unless there was a function going on, a parade or,
A parade?
block parties,
Yeah.
something where, they may need a hot dog stand. Do I need to get approval or something like that? If I...
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to give you, if this is approved for certain time periods, we don't, if you're saying you're going to run your business at a particular time, you can't turn around and have Mr. Elway, they ride down High Street and all of a sudden see you down there at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
No.
I mean, we've got to...
This is, me and my kids will be, and my wife will be running the stand, and we have no interest in late hours or going to the bars and hanging out. It's more to me, for the park, so families can come, have a hot dog. I wouldn't mind, we have to come back and request maybe a snowball machine, snow cones for the kids. I just felt that there was a need, and maybe I can meet that need.
Madam Chair, I would be in favor of granting it. Mr. Blower, I'd probably go till 10 p.m. 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. because the block dances end at about 10 p.m. That way you could get into the block dance window also.
Okay.
And that would be advantageous.
That'd give me the a little flexibility too.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to grant the common victuals license from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the noted locations.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in
Can I
favor?
have a question, ma'am, please? Does the board have any, or the Board of Health have any regulations as far as the cart, how it should be set up, whether it needs to have hot and cold
I
water?
have no idea. You'll have to meet with them and go over their rules and regulations. That's not under our jurisdiction.
They definitely do.
Oh, they do, but we can't
Yeah,
speak to them.
You'll need to talk
Yeah.
to the Board of Health.
Okay, and what is the timeline from getting approved from here?
Well, if you're going to serve prepared food, you can't open that up until you get permits from the Board of Health.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
License
you know, so you
itself.
can't set up to go out instead, just
Right.
because you got your,
This is
Right.
actually
Right,
your
this
first
is-
step.
this-
Yes,
Yeah.
this is what I'm looking
Yeah.
for, and I want to know what
Yeah.
the next proceeding steps
yeah,
should be.
you'd have to contact the Board of Health, and then they'd set up a hearing and, or
Okay,
whatever procedure they go through, but you definitely have to get permission from them and permits,
okay.
okay?
Now,
Any-
as
yes.
far as location,
Okay.
I can be on the walkway, or the walkways here in the park,
Probably
I'm
not.
sorry, no, you can't go
Or-
right in the park,
Right in the
no,
park.
no.
or on the side of the street.
Well, you gotta be where it's public safety, you know.
Right.
I'd probably clear it with the police department where is an appropriate place for you to put your stand up. Obviously, you don't want it in the middle of the road, or you could be in harm's way, especially if you're gonna have
No,
children.
I want it someplace safe.
Yeah, but
No,
you
I
can't
want-
do it inside of Central Park.
Okay. On, what's that?
It has to be on the street.
Yeah, usually
Like a
where
parking spot?
the parking spots are, is where you,
If
Take
you're
a
down,
spot.
I mean, if you were down at Depot Square, as an example, I think you need to be on the furthest side of the depot, which is towards the bridge. I think it would be the safest. I know we've had some before that are, you know, on that inside portion of it.
Okay.
Certainly not on the sidewalk or on that side over there. You're going to have to come in on that side over here by the,
Okay, I need some guidance from the police department.
yep, yeah. I think you just want to be in the safest
I wanna be in the
safest spot,
safe place.
absolutely.
I want to be
Yep.
sure that everybody's in agreement.
Yep.
And, have a good location.
Sure.
and meet the needs.
Sure. Do you have any other questions for us?
And at this time, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? It's 3 in favor, Max.
I'm gonna just-
good luck.
Good luck. The board has a continuation of hearing for 38 South Meadow Road. If the parties could please come forward. Good evening. If you could again just,
Identify myself for the record, Donald O'Neill, lawyer from Worcester, Wisconsin, 370 Main Street. Paul Davino, is the property owner is here, and also Mr. Durkin, John Durkin, Onyx Construction. Water field gravel removal successful.
excuse me. Okay, as we left the hearing last week, we agreed that we would have our DPW superintendent go to the appropriate site. This is for 38, but I believe as well we have confirmation from the superintendent that he, in conjunctions, has commented as well on 38 and 40, but we'll, just for the sake of discussion, we'll talk about 38. And I know that the board was encouraged to at least go by. I know that I have been in the area several times and viewed the area, so what I'd like to do, and I think it's appropriate because we do have a letter from the superintendent, is afford him an opportunity to speak to his response in the letter. Bill, if you would just like to.
I visited the sites in South Meadow Road, took some measurements, came up with the ballpark yardage, this is what I have here, of 25,000 cubic yards of material. Out of that material, there'd be some sloping on the sides of the embankments, which would be approximately 8,000 cubic yards, bringing the total yardage down to about 17,000 cubic yards. I'll speak to both properties currently, if that's okay. The yardage would be split about 9,000 cubic yards for house number 40 and 8,000 yards for house number 38. The site currently has been stripped of the loam and subsoil. That's stockpiled on site, so essentially right now you have about 25,000 yards of bare gravel sitting on site. It could be my recommendations, if a gravel removal permit were issued, I'd certainly recommend 2-to-1 sloping of the bankings loam and seed, and then probably ask them to do some dust control, whether it be watering or calcium chloride application, just to get the dust down. It is pretty rural residential neighborhood, so there's quite a few houses around.
Okay. Would you like to speak to that, Mr. O'Neill?
Yes. We would not object to dust control provisions. I think we plan on doing that anyway. And in terms of the yardage, that's consistent with what Mr. Babineau was looking for, or the end product would be what he's looking for in terms of the placement of his garage. One of the other things that I think that came up at the last meeting that we had was discussions about the hours of operation. Looking at your regulations, it's 7 to 5 on weekdays. I think what we had been doing was 7 to 3. Yeah, and we could go with those hours and then also make sure that nothing started before 7 o'clock. One of the neighbors mentioned that wanted to make sure that starting hour was respected, and we would do that. We would, again, seek your approval, just because this is really the only way that they can get some usable space out of that yard. It's very cramped now with the area that they do have available to them. And this could really benefit them, benefit the area actually in terms of the overall appearance. I think it would be an improvement when it's completed. You feel that it would take a couple of months to complete, and would be open from the board in terms of should build in a little bit of a window, I think, cushion to that period in case anything came up. But this is an operation basically that they're looking to get completed as soon as possible, so that they can proceed to get the garage built, get the area stabilized. And our view is basically that the quicker we do it, the better, because then it's not an ongoing operation. And we would ask that you grant the approval for, consistent with the yardage that's indicated here, and subject to the requirements of maintaining the 2-1 slope. They have stockpiles of loam on the site, and understand that they would be responsible for restoration once completed. Once again, this is their home. They're not looking to strip all the topsoil off and leave it in a unfinished state. They're going to be looking basically to restore it because it's a yard. So I don't think we have any problem with those recommendations, and would be comfortable going forward with those.
I'll open up if anyone would like to speak in favor of this. Yes. Could you just come forward and give your name and address, please?
Kathy Wood, 54 South Meadow Road.
Okay.
And I'm absolutely fine with what they want to do. I just want to make sure that I own property abutting these properties, and I don't want it to be a gravel pit drop off. I want to just know that it's a nice slope, and that it's not going to be left a mess. That's basically it. But I was also concerned too, because I was sent a letter that 38 and 42, I believe, were the addresses.
No, it's 38 and 40.
Is there not a house in between you all?
Our neighbors, 38, 40.
Oh, okay, so it's not the next house down that has the big, so it's just your two? I'm absolutely fine with everything. I just want to make sure that our property is not going to be affected and left.
Well, I think they're looking to actually beautify their yard, and thusly it'll...
Oh, yeah, it's just wasted space, and I understand what they're doing. That's fine, I have no problems. I just don't want my property left as gravel pit, because hopefully sometime in the future we'd like to sell it. And I think if it's just a gravel pit, drop off, then, that's not a very advantageous selling point as far as I'm concerned. So that's my only concern.
Okay, so noted. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor of? Against? Move that portion closed. I guess I will go back to my concern, and I'm pleased that the superintendent did do a report for us, and again, I will just say that I know Nipro's doing a massive building down, I don't know if you've seen their new construction down on Pleasant Street, and I think they only removed about between 5,000 to 10,000 cubic feet out of there, Bill? Probably. But anyways, this is a tremendous amount of fill that you're taking out of there, but even having to said that. But I think it's important that we do adhere to some strict conditions here, because I think it's real important. And I would agree with what Ms. Wood said, that I think it's important that this be done in a fashion that we have some professionalism, and there is no impact on the neighborhood as far as dust or noise or early upstarts and going beyond. And even to the extent, I think that because it is a neighborhood, that I would prefer not to see the Saturday, but that whatever way the board rules on that. And I'm not in favor of it being open-ended. I think if we were told that this job, and according to the building inspector, that you've already removed 7,500 cubic yards out of there already, that we should be looking to have this done in a timely fashion. And if we set 2 months, that we'd like to see it done in 2 months, and that it's adhered to all of the specifications that I would hope on the recommendation of the superintendent are completed, and if not, that you people are responsible for it. So I think we need to put some very tight constraints on this.
I was under discussion on that. With 25,000 for actually 17,000 yards being removed, just an FYI on that, that would be pretty extensive trucking. We're talking 16 to 20 trucks coming in and out of there during a day. I think a 3-month time would be a little more reasonable.
3?
Just talking truck traffic. If you push that time enough, you're going to have more trucks congested in a certain amount of time.
Well, my concern too is, Bill, and I guess, if we need to go to 3 months, but I don't want us, we've made a commitment for that area to do the road. I don't want us to miss the season and have those people go through another season with a road that's in horrible shape, but I don't want to do it before they've completed their operation either. And that's why I think it's important for us to put a time frame on here, because I don't want this to become a gravel pit, and just as the neighbor said, and that's why I have much concerns about, that's a heck of a lot of material to be taken out of 2 backyards. And I know that there is there was a huge hill there, but it's a lot of material, and that's my concern.
I think I figured at 8 trucks a day, they'll do about 400 yards a day, and that would be like a 2.5-month window. I think anything more than that would just be, you'd have lines of trucks coming in and out of there, and it's really only conducive to 1 truck at a time.
So any
So is that-
board members have any?
Yeah, just a question for Bill. Is that what you're basically saying in this letter here?
In the letter, I just specify the yardage. And make some recommendations regarding...
Well, yeah, you're recommending the 2-to-1 sloping finish with lumen seed to stabilize the slope as well.
Right.
Right.
Right. I didn't make recommendations on trucking or time frame.
Well, that's, I think we have, Michael has supplied for us the documentation that goes with
Yeah, and my
removal.
concern is we put too many constraints on it, it's going to drag out the project. I mean, I'd like to see it get done as soon as possible, and I think that people here would like to see it get done as soon as possible as well.
Yeah,
So
well,
I mean-
my concern is too, though, Mac, is while we're doing this, it's also a neighborhood, and it's a very narrow road, so I think we want to, we want to make this as reasonable as possible, but,
Madam Chair, sorry.
Just if they keep it between the hours of 7 and 3, I think they agreed that's what they were doing anyways, regular work hours, 7 to 3. In my opinion, I don't think they'd see a problem on that day. That's what that is, as soon as they can, as soon as possible to get it done.
well, I think
I think both sides
yeah.
would be happy.
And I think we have to, if it's been, and I know Bill has gone up there and I think done a good job, I think we have to as well put a limit on to what's coming out of there as well.
Yeah.
So-
That was my question, Madam Chair. Bill, you have for 99,000 cubic yards for House 40 8,000 cubic yards for house 38 or lot 38. Those are additional yards above what's already been pulled out, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the
Just,
garbage
okay.
is in place. As you take gravel out of the hill, it swells about 10 to 20%. So that's the in-place garbage that I have.
Okay.
Not the swelling effect.
And that yardage there is going to take it down to almost level ground?
Yeah, the driveway will have a slight slope going up.
Okay.
It's about a 30-foot cut right now.
So
Matt?
still have an incline
Yeah,
to it.
I mean, if there's no other discussion, Madam Chair, I'd
I
make a
just want to
motion.
give Dean an
Dean?
opportunity. Did you have anything?
Are you operating Saturday hours now?
Why not?
Okay.
Could I say one?
Sure.
Additional item, that if you were to put a time restriction on it, that we would maybe have a cutoff period in terms of, no more removal after a certain period of time, but make a provision to allow us to, build in some restoration time as well. Because if it's going to take 2.5 months to get the gravel out, and you say the whole thing has to be finished within 2.5 months.
Well, what I'm saying, Mr. O'Neill, is to take the material out of there.
Right.
But then we don't want that, and I think the neighbor has spoken to this, we don't expect it to just stay like there. I mean, we're
No,
going to put, hopefully this board will say as well, that we're going to have you people adhere to, as he said in here, the sloping, and that you're going to loom it and stabilize it, and that, we don't want the neighbors in that area to come in 6 months from now to us and say, gee, they took all that material out, and now nothing's been done.
Right. And again, this is their home, and they don't plan to do
Okay.
that, so we don't object to that, because that's what they would do with whether you require it or not.
Okay.
But all I'm just saying is, if we have a time limit, we just need to build in some time to do that, because I wouldn't want to try and do it all within 2.5 months.
Well, the time
limit's for the removal of the
removal
earth.
of the earth, okay? And then after, obviously, we would give the residents a reasonable time to do whatever they need to do to complete it and stabilize the slope and do whatever you need to do. But again, I think we want to be as reasonable as we can, that we don't expect the neighborhood people to come in 6 to 8 months from now and say, guess what? They got all the material out, and that's fine, but now nothing's changed, and they haven't adhered to 2-to-1 slope and all this other stuff,
We understand that. And I think actually in terms of the neighbors that did speak, it's pretty remarkable that really people were as agreeable and supportive as they were. So I think everyone does see it as a potential improvement for everybody. And we don't object to those type of provisions, because that's what we intend to do anyway.
Madam
What's the
Chair,
pleasure of the board?
I'd make a motion that we grant a earth removal permit for Lot 38, or house number 38 on South Meadow Road, in the amount of 8,000 cubic feet to be removed over a period of 3 months, with no more than 3 months, and that they would finalize the project with a 2-to-1 sloping finish on the slope, and also implement the dust control measures of their choice, but to make sure one of the two measures that's recommended by the DPW superintendent, whether it be calcium chloride or a watering plan, is implemented so that the neighborhood doesn't get dusty. And that would be my motion.
And also on the 2-to-1 that they would finish with lumen seed to stabilize
Yeah.
it? Okay. And are you also making that in the hours of 7 to 3?
Yep.
With Saturdays or without Saturdays?
You're not doing Saturdays now, right? I would add to my motion that we restrict Saturday earth removal, so it'd just be weekday
Monday
truck
through
traffic,
Friday.
Monday through Friday.
And also, would you include that for work, that it be a reasonable time frame for them to get to the 2-to-1 sloping? Did you?
I did not, why don't we,
Okay.
I'll keep my motion at that, and then we
Okay.
can discuss the timeframe on the
Is there a
Can I make one comment?
Well, let me just get a second.
I'll second.
Is there a second? Under discussion?
You said cubic feet, it's cubic yards.
Cubic yards.
So noted. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I'd ask the homeowner what, Madam Chair, if I could.
Yes.
What's a fair and reasonable timeframe for you to finish after the 3 months of earth removal, how much time do you need to get that thing seeded and graded out? Is a 4-week or a 6-week period of time fair?
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion then that we put a condition of a 6-week period of time after the earth removal is complete, that the 2-to-1 sloping with loom and seed to stabilize the slope occurs.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We'll go to the second hearing, which is for 40 South Meadow Road. Only that would be 9,000. Okay, this hearing has been continued from our last meeting, and this hearing is in connection with 40 South Meadow Road. And I believe we're talking the same set of circumstances.
Yes.
Only being that in the letter from the superintendent states that we're looking at 9,000 cubic yards as opposed to 8,000 for 38. So I don't think there's really, unless...
That's right. We're amenable to the same terms and conditions.
Okay. Because it is a public hearing, again, we'll ask for if anyone has any comments in favor of. Anyone have any against? Any discussion from any board members? What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I had a
Sure, go right
question
ahead.
for the
Sure.
superintendent. Bill, is it 40 that might have the retaining wall, the need for the retaining wall?
Most of the sloping is done on block 38. 40 would have most of the material removed.
But it's a straight, nothing coming around the side on 40? That was 38? This drawing that we have here, Bill, is it 38 or 40 that we're looking at?
The way it would look, this is 38 on this side, and this is 40 on this side.
Okay,
So
that's
why 40
a
has
combined,
more yardage, because they don't have to slope this side. All that material will be removed.
this is 40.
This is 40, this is 38.
Okay, so we're, okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Any other
All
questions?
set, no?
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll
Yeah,
second
and
with
is your
the,
motion that it would be the same
Same
provisions?
stipulations as 38, but they would exceed actually to 9,000, because I believe that's what was in the letter from the superintendent.
Is there
I'll
a
second
second?
that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Good luck on your
Good luck.
endeavor, and hope to see it looking nice.
Madam Chair, prior to, what about the finishing on that project?
Oh, that's right.
A 6-week period of time, give you enough time to finish your grading and your seeding and looming?
It sounds like a reasonable.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion 4 to 6 weeks. Final.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good luck.
I was just taking it we were going on the
Yeah,
same
no, I
provisions
just want-
before. But yeah, you're right. I hear you. Okay. The administrator, probably for the first time ever, has no report.
That is,
Yeah.
it is amazing.
There's no administrator's report?
Okay. Old and new business. We have a request for the use of the auditorium, and there are a number of dates that we have that have been approved and functions by the committee. Just reviewing them, does anyone have any problem with any of them? They've all been approved by the group, which are two have taken place already, the high school graduation, the middle school graduation.
Better approve those.
Okay, yeah, those are gone. But
Madam
the
Chair.
other ones are Lindsay School of Dance practice on the 21st of June and the performance on the 22nd. On August 22nd, it's a fundraiser for the fire station renovations, I believe to be put together by the Clinton Public Schools. And on November 15th, St. Mary's Schools auction, which has become an annual event for them, a fundraiser. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we grant the approvals for the town hall use with the, oh, sorry, go ahead. Well, I guess with the stipulation with, I noticed that the trash removal fee is still at $1. I'd just like to make an adjustment to $1.50.
Oh, well, we're going to go into that. That's the next portion.
It's the second phase?
Yeah, that's the
All right, I'm
second.
just going to, okay. I'll just make that my motion then.
Okay, I second the approval. of
Any
these.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. The second request is that they want the board's consideration for the custodian's rate. The custodian rate has been requested to be changed to a flat fee for any event that has been reviewed with Mr. O'Toole, and he's requested a flat rate of $250 per event for this board's review.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we support that recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Also, the committee is asking for the ability to charge the user fee schedule as they determine for each event. I know that has become a frustrating issue for them about what categories some of these fall into, whether it be cultural or civic or what have you. So they're looking for some flexibility, and I think that they have certainly demonstrated that they put a lot of time and effort into this, and I think it would be nice if we could afford them and give them the opportunity to use their discretion. They certainly treat this almost like their own home, so.
Yeah.
What's the pleasure of the board? And as you so noted, Mark, that the trash fee does say $1, but that's automatically now $1.50, but
All right. I just
but
wanted
you
to
did
make a
note
of
that,
it.
and that's good, because it does say $1, so.
Madam Chair, I'd support the request by the committee to grant them the flexibility on the user fee and rate schedule per event.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, anything
No,
on that, Mike?
No.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just on the discussion, I think that's fine, because we still ultimately have the authority of
Right,
granting the use or
right.
not granting the use,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
afford them the
100%.
opportunity to discuss with the people requesting
Right.
the hall, and
Yeah.
they're closer to it than us.
Right.
So that's why
And
I
as we
support.
said, Mark, just in discussion too, when we served on that committee, we were trying to use, just as a form of a guideline, other communities that had formed
Yeah.
committees and fees, and so we certainly knew that we were going to have to
Work in
fine-tune this as
progress,
we
yeah.
went along, and
Yeah.
there's been a lot of fine-tuning, so now that they've done this long enough, I think they realize, and we realize, that there was
Right.
maybe needed some changes in the future. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. And the committee is also requesting that they move their meeting date from Wednesday to Thursday.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we allow them to move their weeknight meeting from Wednesdays to Thursdays.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. And also, we have a request from our secretary, Joyce, to serve as a volunteer on the Town Hall Use Committee, and certainly I hope the board will go along with this, and it's great that she wants to volunteer her time, because obviously for communication reasons, it really makes a lot of sense, so we
It
thank you,
does.
Joyce.
It does. It's scary that you haven't picked up on the craziness of the hall yet.
I make a motion that this board appoint Joyce Covasero to the Town Hall Use Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
And thank you.
Thanks, Joyce.
You're nuts.
You're getting like Michael now, you're going to have to be on more committees and more
You
jobs.
just need more newspaper.
Yeah, right. Okay, on the town audit, yeah, on the town audit, Michael, certainly John Kilcoyne did a great job for us, but we do have a letter stating that they no longer feel that they can perform that function for the town, and that we have a bid that has been submitted by CPA firm that has been actually working with Kilcoyne, and John Kilcoyne. So maybe, Mike, if you just want to speak to the proposal and...
Sure. As the chairman indicated, we've had solar at Kilcoyne for the past several years. We've been very fortunate. They've done an outstanding job. They came in at a time when we really needed some help, and we're very happy with their performance, and we've developed a good relationship, and we're sad to see them go. But they have been the contractor, but they have also been subbing a lot of the work to Bill Frick. who is a CPA who specializes in municipal auditing. That's his specialty. He has been doing the bulk of the work on our audit. He is very familiar with the town of Clinton, and Solar and Kilcoyne is recommending that Mr. Frere be allowed to take over the job. A lot of the regulations are changing. GASB 34, which is an accounting standard, which is requiring that municipalities now depreciate their fixed assets. That's going to create a lot of work, a lot of regulations, and a lot more complexity in doing a municipal audit. And Solar and Kilcoyne felt that Bill Frere would have better that expertise, that he could work directly with the town and be able to get that job done. So I think on the recommendation of Solar and Kilcoyne and myself from dealing with Bill Frere the last couple of years, he's tough, but he's fair, and he knows his stuff. He really does.
Okay, it's a pleasure of the board. I will say that I did meet Bill when he gave his report on the 2002 audit, and I think you probably met him last year, Mark. He's a pretty knowledgeable guy. And
Is this budgeted, this dollar amount?
The total amount, the quote that he's giving is 27.5. That amount, we have 25,000 budgeted in the operating budget. However, part of that fee will also include him doing the single audit, which is a federal grant for the Community Development Office, and they have money in their grant to pay for that. Okay. It also does the school lunch program, which they are a private entity and they have money in their account. Okay. Also, the enterprise funds can contribute, even if it's a small amount for what they do. And the retirement board, that had not been done prior to Solar and Kilcoyne coming in. They now do that function, and we have a full audit of the retirement funding, and they provide some help as well. Okay. So all those entities would make up more than enough what we would have for that fee.
It breaks it down.
Okay.
I didn't know if you had seen it. That's why I didn't speak.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah, okay.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we accept the proposal from Mr. Frere?
Yeah, William Frere.
In the amount of $27,500 for auditing services for the town of Clinton for next fiscal year.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Board also has a letter from Lorraine, the town accountant, speaking to changing our supplier to energy supply, and maybe you want to speak to this, Michael?
Sure. Again, with deregulation, the utility companies have now given off the generation portion of supplying energy to private or other contractors. So deregulation has split up those duties, and in the past, the town of Clinton has gone with this company, Select Energy. The town accountant had been doing some research, found that there was a good price with Select Energy Incorporated. A couple of years ago, I don't know if any of the board members recall, I don't know, it was a few years back, the MMA had done a bulk buy of generation through all municipalities and try to bulk together our demand and then sell that out to the market. And actually Select Energy was the company that had gotten the bid back then. So we had Select Energy for 2 years, and then our contract ended. So I think we just went back to default service. So this would bring Select Energy back in. It's something that the utility companies encourage because they are getting out of that business. And it's something that, we would still have Mass Electric, would still be our utility company. They're our point of contact, but on our bill, the generation portion of our bill would be supplied by Select Energy. The accountant put together a spreadsheet just showing a monthly expense that we pay for energy costs. And I think we're in the neighborhood of about, if I have it here, if I can pull it out, I think it was like $28 $28,000.
So Mass Electric would be our service provider. They take care of it.
Exactly. They will continue to be our service provider. Nothing will change on our billing or any of that.
Just the energy generation portion.
It's generation.
Exactly, yeah. And
Solar
so we would just get a different rate on the generation portion. There is a 12-month, 24, and 36-month option. The best savings would be 36. At least we would like to recommend a 24-month option to at least to be able to see some savings. At 36 months, you can get a little bit more savings, but the further you go out, the more you get locked in, and you don't know how much the market changes. Like the last time we went with Select Energy, they had a 2-year and a 5-year option, and with such rapid changes taking place, we were hesitant to go into the 5-year option, but we did the 2. So now they're offering a 1, 2, and a 3-year contract. So we're recommending at least a 2-year at this point. So I think it's about a monthly $32,500 on a monthly basis that we pay for electricity. And I think with the rates that have been quoted, the accountant figures just on streetlights alone, perhaps about a yearly $3,000 savings per year just on streetlights. So, and then down the line, whatever we get for the remainder for all our buildings and whatnot. So it's something the solicitor has reviewed the contract. It does have some recommendations, but it's something we just want to put forward for the board to consider. If it's something, we need until next week, that's okay. It's not any deadline or timeline. We just wanted to see if the board would be interested in pursuing it.
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion that we move into a contract in accordance with town solicitor's modifications as he sees appropriate with Select Energy incorporated to be the energy supplier for the town of Clinton
Is there a second?
for 2 years.
Any discussion? I don't intend to vote
Right.
on this being I work for a utility company, so. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, I'm not voting, Joyce. 3 in favor.
One abstention. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Board has the 2004 budget submitted to us by the Finance Committee, who met on 6/17. I would just say that, for discussion, that we submitted a budget to them, a balanced budget, a week ago, this past Monday, and at that particular time, with all of the board members present, stated that I felt that we had done a tremendous amount of work and there was a lot to digest, and that to give the Finance Committee the appropriate time that they felt they needed to go through the budget, and that we would certainly be available to them at any point in time that they felt that they would like to get back to us. I'm disappointed that that didn't occur, because they certainly took a lot of opportunities over several weeks to say that we weren't cooperating with them and we weren't making any effort to meet with them. And I think this board, after putting a lot of time and effort into the budget, gave them every opportunity to come back, to meet with this board, to go over the budget that we submitted to them. Certainly, they didn't feel that they either needed to or that they had any desire to. So I again believe, and I think this board believes, that ours was a fair and equitable budget that took every department into account and the impact in a very difficult and troubling year for every community in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and worked diligently for the government side of this budget and the education side of this budget to bring to the taxpayers in this town. And I really believe that it's a dual responsibility for us to be responsible in all aspects of it. And having said as much as I really feel is to say that I think it's imperative for us to go to town meeting, to present our budget, and to let the voters decide. I think it's, again, this will be a very unique budget that will be appearing to the people, being that it has a Selectmen's budget and a Finance Committee recommended. And I think it was our desire to see us all go in there in agreement about what was going to be presented to the people. And I know that there will be, I suspect, some discussion about whose jurisdiction this falls under and who it doesn't. And I don't know how we will settle this within 5 days, but I think it's probably important for us to get a legal opinion and to make appropriate recommendations to the townspeople. Again, this is really about taking a community that has a growing population, a growing budget, and really about providing good, solid services in both government and education. And I just think it's very unfortunate that this is where we end on the 18th of June when we have town meeting five days away from us. I believe, and I guess again it will be imperative for us to get some rulings on this, but I don't believe that there's anyone that has jurisdiction over inserting personnel line items and making different changes to departments that are overseen by the Board of Selectmen directly. I have some very grave concerns about that. We are the elected officials that oversee and manage these departments. And when this was presented to me, as well as it was all of my fellow board members, I believe it's a very distressing turn of events, and I just hope that that this can be, I would hope, worked out before Monday night, but we'll have to do what we have to do on Monday.
Madam Chair, I think, and I agree with your position, I think the dollar amount differences in the budgets may be minor, but the approaches of really coming into an interference role of our administration and ability to manage our departments is a real concern. And I think, it is of my opinion that the Finance Committee is certainly a valuable committee, and some individuals that we need to look to for recommendations and approvals and disapprovals. But when we move to a level of inserting line items into our budget of our department heads, or moving money around within our department heads' budgets without our approval, I think that's just inappropriate. I wish we had more time, because I do think, the opportunity to sit down and at least discuss with them and explain, for our department heads do report to us, why we did the things we did, I think.
But we afforded them that opportunity, Mark.
I understand. It's just that with 4 or 5 days, we may not have that opportunity prior to.
But I'm saying when we did submit this budget. And I know that, and again, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mark. You can finish that. I apologize.
It's just the overall dollar amounts, I think, we're very close between the two, what the Finance Committee proposes and what the Select Board proposes, but it's very fundamental and very important that there's an agreement as to, our responsibilities here are to our department heads and to most importantly, to the constituents and taxpayers of the town of Clinton. But those department managers report into us and have to answer to how they operate their departments throughout the year to this board. And we review their budgets, and we review the issues that they're faced throughout the entire year. And for dollars to be changed after we've gone through and approved their department budgets, and to move money from one department under our jurisdiction to another department under our jurisdiction, kind of undercuts our authority for our department heads. And I just think it's inappropriate when you look at a Finance Committee's role of being approval, disapproval of the budget, and recommendation of the budget, and recommendations to it. Doesn't give the authority to actually change our budgets for our departments. They should come back before us prior to making those changes, and at least have that discussion. And we did afford that opportunity a week ago. So if we need to, if we can't get resolution, I do support, I think, a very fair budget that we came up with as a select board, taking into consideration the major departments in town and minimizing the impact. And we forwarded the Finance Committee that budget a week ago Monday. And like I said, the dollar changes, I think, are minor, but it's important to understand why we came up with what we did, and then for them to have come back to us and discussed why they changed what they changed. And that didn't occur, and for that not to occur, I think we need to put forward our budget to the town meeting floor and make sure that the townspeople understand our position.
Okay. And again, I think it's important for people to understand that the same budget that was being reviewed by the Finance Committee was the same budget that we had from day one, because that budget was coordinated and put together by our town administrator and town accountant. And the final decisions that we made about a final budget, I think it was very evident to everyone that it was an in-working process budget. And it was done in public, and it was done at that very last minute by some, or probably if not all of the Finance Committee there. So to say that we were hiding figures or we were preventing them from any information is absolutely no basis to any of those accusations. I think we worked hard and we worked very openly, and when we presented that budget, we demonstrated, I think, in the dialogue that there was a lot to digest, and some of the proposals that we made and recommendations about certain departments, we wanted to give them an opportunity that whatever cuts they were going to make them in their appropriate departments, and then to go back to the administrator and the accountant so that they could modify the budgets to reflect where those cuts were going to be made. And we did that all in a very public way. And so I just think it's, to me, and I will say it again, no one wins from anything like this.
No,
Everyone is a loser. And it's the people that we were elected to represent that potentially we could sacrifice. And that's the unfortunate part of
Just
this.
just to touch on what you're both saying, I mean, basically, it's ultimately the townspeople are going to come to town meeting and decide on the budget anyways.
Right.
No one's disputing, we're doing our best, what we think is for the people of the town and the things that we were elected to do. And no one's disputing, I mean, the Finance Committee, they're looking at it from their end, they're doing their best at where they were appointed to do, And I think everyone's doing the best they can do on both sides. And, we're off here by, like Mark said, minor numbers.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to the people at
Right.
town meeting, and I hope they come down. and
Right.
march.
I think
it's a serious difference.
Yes, a real serious difference, and that's what...
The
and I
difference
concur
is,
with
it is serious in the sense of moving forward. Next year is going to be it can be as difficult or more difficult than this year. And a concern I have is that when we set a budget and we ask the taxpayers to vote on that budget, we have to hold the line. I believe, and I can only take it based on where I see changes in the recommended budget that they've put forward, where they've added a lot of money back into miscellaneous accounts for small departments, that they're concerned, and I'm speculating because they're not here, that their concern is that if we cut their miscellaneous expenses, that those departments will come back to the Finance Committee and ask for transfers. And my position is that's not physically responsible people managing their departments then. If you have $2,000, you start your year knowing that you only have
They shouldn't be
$2,000 to
coming to the Finance
miscellaneously
Committee.
expend your funds, and not to exceed that amount. If you manage effectively, you have your budget and you work to within that budget. You don't have a green light that says, spend the miscellaneous expense account you have, even though it's been reduced, and then come back. No one's saying that they had an open check to come back to the Finance Committee for a reserve transfer.
Miscellaneous
Yet
expense was the last
they've made edits to their budget based on a concern that there are department heads that will expend their miscellaneous funds, I'm speculating, that would then require sometime later in the year reserve fund transfers because they've expended their funds and they're going to need more money in their miscellaneous accounts. I take the approach that that's poor management on those department heads if they do that. And that when we say it's $1,000 or $2,000 to spend, and though it may be a cut and it may be painful, It wasn't a cut of your job, or it wasn't a cut of the clerk in your department. It was a cut in miscellaneous expenses, and you need to manage to that. And I think the Finance Committee, again, if I look at where most of these changes occurred, outside of some very strange changes within our department heads, departments, they increased a lot of miscellaneous accounts, and I think it was due to a concern that those accounts would be expended and then would have transfers occurring throughout the year. And I think, the responsibility has to go back on each department when they do have cuts to manage those cuts. And not to assume you have a green light.
But even in the good times, though, when times are good, I mean, the miscellaneous funds should never be expended.
I agree with you 100%. The budget is what you work to,
Absolutely.
regardless of whether
What's
it's
the
a
sense of having
good
a budget
time.
if we're going to...
Right, so you can't have the mentality that because we cut a fund, that it's going to be approved and it's going to be okay to go back to a finance committee for transfers. We vote on a budget and we present something to the town floor, to the taxpayers of this town. It should be an honest document that people have to then work towards, or they're not doing their job.
And that's what the townspeople expect.
And something we'd all like to see, I'm sure, is a fiscally responsible department head that might actually return some dollars back to the general fund. That would be totally awesome if that could happen, but...
Well, again, I think to try to micromanage departments that are under our jurisdiction and are on a day in and day out basis from one end of the year to the next is not the way, and it's not a good management of money and management. So, again,
I just wish with town meeting coming up on Monday that they were able to have taken advantage of the budget we had afforded them last Monday and sat down with us. Again, I think we could have come to some agreements here, and it appears that rather than that occurring, they're going to have to deal with amendments and whatnot on the town meeting floor and look at two different budgets as the people come out.
Sure.
So.
Okay. So we're going with the selectmen's budget as well to appear before the voters, correct?
Selectmen's budget.
Okay. I want to make a formal motion just to...
Yeah, I make a motion that we provide the select board's budget that was voted on and prepared, I believe it was last June 9th, Monday, 2004.
2003?
2003, excuse me. With the amended, with the amendment regarding our department itself, I think we submitted it to the Finance Committee with one number that had to be corrected. So I'm not sure when did that budget get turned over to the Finance Committee, or the corrected budget?
The 11th,
Was it the 11th?
Wednesday night.
They had some of the changes on Wednesday, all the final, to the penny changes were on Friday.
So what date is that?
13th. Friday the
So,
13th.
Madam Chair, I'd revise my motion to reflect that the Select Board's budget of June 13th, that we put that on the town meeting warrant as well as the Finance Committee's budget.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Committee reports. Mark, do you have anything?
No.
Mark, are we going to be a goal for September?
Oh, yeah.
in elementary?
Absolutely,
Are
yeah.
they going to have groundbreaking or
Yeah,
ribbon cutting event?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the date will be late August or early September. I don't know what the superintendent has planned, but there will be definitely a grand opening. I think there'll be a public tour session. They've got furniture in now, and so I think once school ended yesterday, I think the teachers were moving in either yesterday or today, so that is occurring.
Well, I know you chaired that committee, and I think you should really be congratulating the committee. It's really turned
Thank
out
you.
to be a gorgeous building, and I'm
gonna
really
be.
looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
So, good
It's
job.
Beautiful building.
Good job. Dino, you have anything? No. Okay. Public comment? Nothing under public comment. Board has, two executive sessions, and they're both under Article 3, and one is for fire negotiations, and the second is for DPW, negotiations. And the only other business we have is some documents that need to be signed, need signatures from the board. And we will be meeting next Wednesday evening, and we look forward to seeing everyone at town meeting. It's an important town meeting, and we need to get our budget set for the next fiscal year, and so we encourage everyone to come and to have us have a town meeting on the first try.
Yes.
That's,
That would be very nice.
Monday at 23rd on
23rd,
7 o'clock?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 7
7
o'clock,
okay.
right? It is 7, right?
7
Town
p.m.
meeting 7? 7, yep.
Chances are it'll be kind of a cool, rainy, gray night, so
Right.
everyone can make it out.
Okay. So I'll accept a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mac?
Aye?
Mac?
Aye.
Dino?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Probably a half an hour, and then, as I said, the only business that we'll have is just some documents that needed to be signed. Good time.
Great.